Excellent. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a few more seconds. Let me go ahead and share my screen so everyone could have access to what we're discussing and who we're talking with today. All right. Thumbs up if you could see my screen. Yep. The deck. Yes, because I have a lot of things on my screen. Awesome. Fantastic. All right. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. So again, welcome everyone. My name is Mariana. I'm one of the events coordinator here with the career services team. Also on the line, I have my amazing partner here in crime, Samantha Blair, who's also part of the career services team, and our career coach, Emma, who will be our moderator for today and driving the discussion. So thank you both for being here and together hosting this fabulous webinar for our students today. Before we get started, I also want to thank our amazing panelists that we have here today with various backgrounds who will be providing us their best expert advice and insights into the industry. So we're very happy to have you here today and to hear from these fantastic industry professionals and get you inspired. So before we dive in, I just want to call out a few things. The camera is disabled and so is the microphone. We do have the Q&A box available for you to bring your questions and jot them down in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to drop down your questions at any time throughout the session. However, we will be conducting the Q&A live at the end of today's session. Also, we are recording today's session in case you need to go back and double click on anything that you might have heard that you didn't get time to jot down or take notes on. So we'll be sharing the link with the recording for today's session. And last but not least, we do have a small quick survey that doesn't take very long. It takes a couple seconds for you to fill out once you exit the webinar today. We really encourage you to please, if you feel comfortable, to fill out the questionnaire. It's 3 questions, if I'm not mistaken, 3 to 4 questions, and it's very quick. And we really value your feedback. So if you could please fill that out, that would really help us to get ready for the next event sessions that we have planned. So with that, I think that covers everything for today. Again, my name is Mariana. We have Samantha here as well, helping us for today's session. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it to our moderator, Emma.
Thank you so much, Mariana, and hi, everyone. Welcome again. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For those of you that I have not met, my name is Emma Esparza. I am a career coach on a career services team. And today I have the pleasure of being your moderator. So we are here with 3 fantastic panelists, as Mariana said. Sammy, Juan, and Bill, we are so grateful for your participation, and really, I think, just especially from the coaching perspective too, I'm so excited that the students are going to be able to learn from your expert insights. We're going to start tonight by asking each of you to introduce yourself. So we'll go first name alphabetical order. So let's start with you, Bill, then we'll hear from you, Juan, and then Sammy. I want to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, about your company, and about the path that got you to where you are today.
Sure, thank you. So I started the work that I was doing because my family had a series of retail stores where they sell clothing, and they were having great difficulty dealing with the technicians that were creating their point of sale software. So after helping resolve that problem myself, I found that a lot of companies had this similar issue. And I started Cook Technology as a way for technicians to be able to offer their services to enterprise level companies and have much more upward mobility and be able to take ownership of eventually their own businesses and encourage entrepreneurship through the process.
I love that. That is a super interesting path. Thanks for sharing, Bill. Juan, you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, the company you work for, and the path that got you to where you are today?
Yeah, so Juan with Gravity IT Resources here. I'm actually a UM grad. Went into UM thinking, I wanted to get into, start my own business, realized that technology was something that I was really passionate about. Ended up finding this company named Gravity, very small startup company, had only been in business for about would say 2 years at a time. And, they were really selling me on the idea of, selling IT services. So I joined in as number 5 in the company, eventually made a partner into the company. And right now I'm helping launch our government practice and cybersecurity practice. So what we do is we help large Fortune 200, large Fortune 100, and small companies really find top technical talent, both in the IT space and in the cybersecurity space. And now that we're gearing into government, there's a big need for government resources, specifically in those two niche industries. So excited to be here, excited to learn from my peers, and can't wait to learn more about what we can do here.
Ditto, Juan. Thank you. I love that career path and that advancement. So cool. Sammy, would love to hear from you now.
Hey, I am Sammy Jenkins. I am the COO of ThreatLocker and also the co-founder. The path that got me here today is we found a gap in the market in 2017. I was managing a small school and we were looking for something for application whitelisting, and we found out there was nothing in the area for it. So Danny, the CEO of the company, decided to go and develop this for us. And ever since that, we've been growing. We've expanded our team quite rapidly in 2020, and we continue to add to our team now.
Fantastic. Thank you all for sharing that information. So I want to start off our conversation, or kind of continue our conversation, by exploring the typical workday of a managing partner. So to help our students kind of understand one career path that could be available to them through entrepreneurship. So would love to hear from each of you. And so like Bill and Sammy, this is kind of more in your general direction. So Bill, let's start with you. Would love to hear what a typical day looks like for you. Is it more analytics work, more informative, more troubleshooting? And then also maybe what a typical day might look like for some of your individual contributors as well.
Today's a good day to ask because I was back in the field today as a tech myself, even though I started a company that covers the entire state of Florida. Our work is extremely hands-on. So because we provide the local resources for companies that don't have regional staff, I swapped out a server today. The reason was because we had more volume than we had technicians. There was a large need. And so we have more than 100% growth every single year. And what we do is we use online resources, websites and web portals that we design and develop to integrate with others, to pull together the feedback and the notes and documents that we need to be able to not just do the job, but demonstrate that our technicians have the ability to take a series of more complicated tasks. A lot of our work involves installing digital menu boards for McDonald's. We work on the computers and printers for NAS JAX, which is Department of Defense. We also work for the Department of Justice, installing key-fee systems inside of prisons. But more of our work is Motel 6, putting in VoIP networks. Lowe's and Home Depot, we run all their cabled infrastructure. And what we do is we take all of these jobs from big companies and then we assign them to regional resources. And then we support that process while techs that we bring into the system begin always as entry level, because we find that we need to direct this process regardless of what people have learned. It changes very fast every year. So we direct the process very quickly to bring them from entry level technicians to become lead technicians in their area and administrators. And if a technician has been an administrator for us for 1 year, they can purchase their market and own it for any appraised value. Because our long objective is to have local owner operators who are able to oversee things, much like I did today, that even though I'm the owner of the company, once the technicians were all booked and the leads were all busy and the administrators were all booked, I jumped in the field myself and went and took a job that was time sensitive. There was a vendor meet there. We were working with 2 other companies. It only took an hour and someone needed to be there. So our work is extremely pragmatic. The benefits predominantly involve the ability to learn about every single system. I can say that from my experience of doing this now for 21 years, there's nothing in tech that we don't do. When we take work orders from companies, we can do them all sight unseen. And now I can honestly say that I have a resume that would get me a job absolutely anywhere. I helped eBay as a startup. I worked with AutoTrader when they first went online. And anytime I won a project, my resume is actually what opens the door for most of the jobs that most of the techs are getting to our company. They want me, but I'm $750 an hour billable. Generally, they'll take one of our other technicians as opposed to paying that rate.
That's fantastic, Bill. Thank you. I like that all hands on deck too. So Sammy, would also really like to hear from you. What does a typical day look like for you? More analytics, informative, troubleshooting, and perhaps
changed a lot over the last 18 months. I used to be the person in the data centers racking servers 18 months ago, but thankfully we've built a team behind us now who can actually do that part thing. I am more management. Obviously with our growth, we exploded. So now I do a lot of the hiring. I oversee the accounts, the business admin side. You know, we speak to investors on a daily basis. It's honestly a mix of everything that I do in the company. We're trying to build a team. I mean, we're constantly adding, you know, I'm handing off things to people, which is, it's very hard to hand things off when you've always been in management. It's very hard to trust people that you know, you've just hired and you're trying to give them responsibilities. I think that's the biggest struggle with being a business owner, is trusting other people to do your work when you're trying to continue your growth. A typical day for our junior techs, as we hire a lot from UCF, we start out our junior techs in a support role, and they also do application updates. So a typical day is all hands on deck, you know, it's catching fire, it's a busy day. And we like to throw them in the deep end with training, because we like to see if people will cope and will actually step up to the level. We also like junior techs to be resourceful and figure things out as well. So if any junior techs are out there, you know, we're looking to hire all the time. So send your resume across.
Great plug, Sammy. So while we're here, Sammy, we'll stick with you for this next question. Would love to hear just what percentage roughly of your company's services works directly in the security aspect of your client's network? Is it more red team based, blue team based?
Blue team.
Examples.
We're 100% security based, as in we're 100% zero trust. So if you are, and not an admin of your computer, obviously, but if you're working for a company and your company does not want you playing Angry Birds during the day, they can use our software to block this. We actually have one customer who blocks Windows from running from 8 p.m. in the evening until 6 a.m. in the morning, because they do not want their users using their computers for Netflix at home on their dime. So we are completely 100% security focused, and we work application whitelisting is the way forward with security.
Excellent, thank you. Bill, would love to hear a same question for you. Would love to hear about what percentage of your company's services is working directly with or in the security aspect of your client's network.
So we're really on the periphery of this. For example, if Ms. Jenkins had a project, she would be likely where she didn't have enough applicants. And if enough people weren't on hand for a sudden need that she would have, she would call a company like ours. At that point, we would have to follow under her security protocols. So we align with whatever protocols are necessary for each company that we work with. More security-minded companies would include, well, Kings Bay, Georgia is probably the most secure place I've ever been in the world. It's a nuclear sub base, and we work on that base. And they search your car on the way in. They go through your phones. You can't be on Bluetooth when you're on the base. Whatever those security protocols are, we're able to accord them, and we have people that carry top secret security clearance and do government projects. And then we have other cases where if we're installing a screen for 7-Eleven, we simply have to follow the protocols that make sure that this came from the right source. We verify couriers and look at chain of custody. So in every single case with us, the protocols are different based on the client, and we align with whatever their needs are.
That's really helpful to hear. Thanks, Bill. I really like how you tied that in with Threat Locker. It's helpful for me, and I'm sure our students as well. Okay, great. So we are going to transition into the next section of our questions. Want to explore your insights and expertise on how to stay relevant in the industry. So thinking about skills, certifications, trends, and Juan, let's start. Let's throw this first one to you. So a lot of our, as y'all all know, a lot of our students are career transitioners, and I think this question is particularly helpful for them, but also I think it's helpful for folks who are leveling up in their careers. So would love to hear your insights, and if you could provide some insights into the non-technical skills that are needed for an IT or cybersecurity professional.
Yeah, of course. You know, this is one of my favorite questions because this is what I do every single day, right? As a recruiter and as an account manager recruiting for some of my clients, my job is to review profiles, review resumes on a daily basis from 8 to 6, right? But what I could tell you is that it really depends on the role, right? One of the hardest things to interview for and one of the hardest things to look for when it comes to finding top tech talent is those soft skills, right? Those skills that aren't technical, leadership skills, communication skills. If you're looking for a role where you're just going to be heads down and coding, and those soft skills don't really need to come out too much, that's fine. But a lot of companies nowadays are looking for some level of leadership, right? If you're looking to move up into a security manager position, those soft skills, are very, very important. And now that everything is moving to Zoom interviews versus in-house or in-person interviews, those soft skills are even more important because you really need to be able to show and sell yourself to a client or a company that you have the skills to lead, to manage others, and to have the interpersonal skills to be part of a team and a good culture. So as far as like soft skills, that's very important. I would also say that you have to practice. Get used to talking in front of a mirror or some of your friends and understand that get feedback from them. What are you doing wrong? Something that I do a lot of is I like to use I like to put those filler words, right? I kind of put those right before some of my answers. But if you keep practicing on that stuff's going to get better, and it's going to show in an interview process, especially when you're doing a video interview like this.
That's great, Juan. Students, you can also practice with your career coach. Great time to schedule an appointment with your coach to practice. Yeah, I love that. Practice that professional verbal communication. Sammy, do you have anything that you'd want to add to that? Some of the non-technical skills that Threat Locker looks for in an IT cybersecurity professional?
And we look for confidence and go-getters. I mean, people always ask me what the culture is at Threat Locker work-wise, and we tell them it's a very, very hard-working environment. We don't like lazy people because we don't grow this fast as a company with people who are lazy. So you have to be confident and you have to be willing to work hard and learn. And that's in many roles. I mean, we've got marketing roles and everything. So you don't have to be a tech person. I mean, if you want to get into cybersecurity, you can get into marketing. You can, there's plenty of places in it. You can get into the development side of things. I think marketing is the big side because that opens many doors because there's many different roles in the marketing space. There's the MSP channel space, which is what we dive into a lot. And that place is a world of its own, honestly. There's so much in there to discover and learn, and we're still learning it on a daily basis.
That's great. Short and sweet, confidence and go-getters. Bill, would love to hear your thoughts on what Cook Tech looks for in terms of non-technical skills for IT and cybersecurity professionals.
For us to have a technician progress, soft skills are absolutely essential. They're more important than technical skills because they're going to learn the technical skills through the job process. All of our jobs are work orders, therefore they all come with instructions. If a technician doesn't understand something technically, they'll contact their superior, they'll escalate to the next person, and it'll go all the way until eventually it gets to me and it never goes past me. So the skills that we have to have for them to advance, for them to be able to go from being an entry-level technician to being able to run their own market, are entirely soft skills, because the market is driven by data and analytics feedback. So the name of the game in our market is feedback. There are 4 metrics that are every client has an opportunity to provide on any job that we put out. Our technicians maintain 98% or better feedback ratings. But these predominantly have to do with being on time and completing the paperwork, uploading everything to the web portals that the client requests. Predominantly, this simply has to do with paying attention to our work. And if techs do that, then they will progress not based on their technical skills, but based on their ability to understand what the managers are looking for from them. And then those managers will give them progressively complicated projects, more involved projects that will last for days, weeks, sometimes months. And then this will allow us to continue to increase their pay rate, and we can also increase their role with the company.
That's great. Thank you. I like that you also pointed to just the soft skills, like how and when to ask questions. So understanding that in yourself, and that it's okay to ask questions, it's good. And that's a really important non-technical skill. So now that we covered the non-technical side, Juan, let's start with you again here. Could you provide some insight into the technical skills needed for an IT or cybersecurity professional? And we'll follow up this question. You can throw it in if you want, but I want to follow up this question. So like, what are the top technical skills that you're kind of looking for on a resume these days? And if you have any suggestions for helping entry-level candidates find ways to learn the skills that they might be lacking, would love to hear your insight.
Yeah, of course. I mean, every company is different. Every company is going to have a set stack that they're currently using. Some are Microsoft, right? Some are Java shops. One of the things I would say as far as IT and cybersecurity is a skill set that I've been seeing a lot in the market is Python. Python is very versatile. It's one of those languages that can do just about everything if used correctly. But nowadays, we're learning that even companies are looking for non-technical positions that require some level of understanding of Python or maybe Excel. Other skills I would say include, in the cybersecurity realm, any chance you have to really understand the network and the infrastructure is going to be very important. That's the area that's getting hit the most by threats, security threats outside and domestically. So understand infrastructure and network is going to go a long way. As far as if someone who doesn't understand or doesn't have the technology background or the IT background, be proactive, right? Understand that your leader is going to want you to increase your knowledge base, increase your skill set. So be proactive when you're looking for new opportunities to really get involved within your organization. If you see a position that's open, ask your manager, hey, I'd like to be considered for this position. What do I need to do to get to that level? Or, ask before you receive, right? Ask for more responsibility. Ask your manager what he's looking for when it comes to, the security side or on the IT side. That way you understand and what to look for. And then, go through programs like this, where you get a chance to really have hands-on practical experience dealing with these skill sets and these technical tools that you can bring back to your manager or put in your resume that shows that you have that experience.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Juan. Sammy, your turn. Would love to hear your insights into the technical skills, some of the top technical skills that you are looking for in some of your junior tech candidates. And, if they lack some of those skills, what are some ways, what are some tips or suggestions that you have for helping those entry-level candidates gain those skills?
We actually got a resume recently, and he had a lot of skills. And one of the top skills he actually put on his resume, which we did not dismiss, was Google. I mean, Google is invaluable. You can find absolutely anything on there. You can Google, if you've got a question, you can Google how operating systems work. We like to see people who, we obviously hire a lot of juniors, as I said. So we like to see people who are doing the CompTIA, Network Plus, just building their skill set and learning. I mean, because one of the fundamental things is you have to know how an operating system works to come into ThreatLocker, because our product runs at the kernel level. So you have to understand how our product works and how it mixes with operating system. So you have to really dive into how Windows work. We work primarily on Windows, so you have to understand how everything works and how everything talks to each other. And we've got something in our product called ring fencing, and that obviously stops like PowerShell talking to certain files, because lots of ransomware attacks happen that way. So you have to understand basically how everything fits together in an operating system and how products can help you. I mean, there's multiple products out there. Learning, you can go, Udemy has a lot of courses as well if you want to stack your pipeline. We have some people doing SQL, and we want people doing Microsoft exams as well. So with our employees, if they want to get further in our companies, we give pay rises based off CompTIA exams, Network Plus exams, and they're asked to complete Udemy courses, which we give as a benefit, and they're asked to go and do some Microsoft exams on their own time as well. And it's just to help them build the fundamental skills on the technology stack.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you, Sammy. Bill, your turn now. So I know that you mentioned that non-technical skills are really important for some of your junior level roles. But what are some of the technical skills that maybe either that you look for a candidate to have or to develop soon after they start?
Sure, there are three with us. When we hire technicians, due to the fact that they might be working in tandem with others or in teams together, they need to have all their A+ level skill sets down. In order to be able to put a motherboard into a computer is critical. They need to be able to terminate network cable, because we might be running 50 or 100 cables at a job site. So it's critical that they're not the slow guy on the team, or person on the team. They need to have some experience, which they can get on their own. But we find that people who have a desire for this will learn it, and they'll do it more than just the once or twice that's in a class. They need to practice it a little bit. It shouldn't take more than a few hours, but there's a world of difference between a technician who spent a few hours crimping cables and testing that they work, and the guy that did it one time and then goes to the site and 20% of his cables don't work, and he's got to go and recrimp them. And it makes him not look very professional when everybody else is moving at a faster rate. The third thing that we ask technicians to be able to do is to be able to remotely access their own computer using RDP, Windows Remote Desktop Protocol. We ask it in that way specifically to see which technicians will come back and say, oh no, I can access my computer, and it turns out they're using TeamViewer or something like this. Because Remote Desktop Protocol requires that you can forward packet ports on 3389 through your router. So what we're really looking for is to see that they've been able to configure their home router to be able to access their computer, to have experience with this process of setting up a router and configuring it. As long as they have those three basic skills, then that is the entry level, after which they will be able to learn a massive gamut of other skills that are going to come from each of the jobs. But without those three basic skills, it's difficult to put them into a team, because they're going to feel like they're in the deep end of the ocean, and they might not be competent to be able to support that team. And that's going to inhibit their ability to get good ratings and other work.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. And so if a job seeker or if a candidate perhaps lacked some of those, one of those three skills, working right with their A+ level skills or some of that hardware, what do you have any suggestions for helping entry-level candidates find ways to pick up those skills, even if it just takes a few hours? Any resources that you would recommend?
We support them directly. We send them some videos that show demonstrations of how they do it on YouTube. We ask them to practice with their own equipment and talk to us a little bit about it. And we help with that, and they can work with one of the leads in their area. And that lead will help. It's never occurred, but I always say, if you take your computer apart and you can't get it back together, we'll walk you through it. You might not be a good fit for the job, but we'll make sure you get your computer back together. So we help them directly to acquire those skills when they need. And it's usually a very easy process that they're able to see from their course materials. When they've completed certain courses, they'll go back and review this on some cases. And in other cases, we'll walk them through something using videos that we get on YouTube.
That's great. And kind of thank you, Bill. Something that I noticed from all of you is your willingness and desire to help folks grow and to teach them through these training and interview processes. So your interview processes aren't really about like tricking people. They're not super, I mean, they're challenging, but they are challenging in a way that helps people grow. And students, those are good signs. Those are green flags for employers, are really positive candidate experiences. So now I want to ask, we talked a little bit about the entry level roles. One of the most common questions that I discuss with our students is, right, a really common way to enter cybersecurity is in perhaps one of these junior tech or IT focused positions. And so from there, how do you pivot fields within IT? So how would you move to a more senior level role within a company? I think, Juan, you answered this a little bit, right? Like talking to others, being proactive within your own organization. Perhaps that's not always an option, but if it is, that's a great path. So how would you move to a more senior role within a company? And like, is it more certifications, more education, more networking? And so, Sammy, let's start with you on this one.
More certifications definitely helps. Obviously, it gives you pay rises, it gives you places to go within the company. The willingness to dive in and learn is a big plus for us. And we do internal cybersecurity exams, and we use a platform called Learn Upon. We give all our cybersecurity, juniors that test after 3 months, and they get a pay rise when they pass on that too. So it's just a willing to dig in, learn the product. Don't say, don't be set in your way saying my career path is just one way and I want to do this. Be willing to, what's the word, just spread out, learn different things, and read on the current threats, read everything, read as much as possible, ask questions. That is a big plus. Don't get into a rabbit hole when you're trying to sort out an issue. Ask the question, ask senior management. And if you're struggling and you're new, you can always read live chat tickets in our company to see, that person answered that question correctly. And it's just ask for the help. To grow within the company, I mean, one of our juniors, he started with us last year. He's now a help desk manager for our team. So he manages, 6 to 10 employees. It's just a willingness. We like people who will learn, dive in, ask questions and work. I mean, don't sleep in on your second day. That is a no-go for our company. And it's happened. So if you get a job, turn up. And, that's the one main thing, turn up every single day.
Yeah, show up physically and figuratively.
Remote position, don't sleep in, get out of bed. Yes,
show up, be there 110%, and be like water, be flexible, right? So Juan, would love to hear your thoughts in kind of how maybe you've worked with multiple candidates throughout your years, or your experience as a recruiter or in talent acquisition. Would love to hear your insights on how you have helped or how you've witnessed candidates pivot fields within IT, how they've moved to a more senior role.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with Sammy, 100%. Everything that she says is exactly what I would say for this question. The other thing is, I go back to what I said earlier. It's being proactive, not being stuck in your ways. Managers want to see that someone is willing to learn, that someone is willing to grow. There was a big push for, short-term labor, but now, from what I'm seeing for some of my clients, they're looking for candidates that want to stay. A great company is NextEra Energy, Florida Power and Light. They love to bring in entry-level students and groom them and mold them. However, they can't do that if a student or a candidate isn't willing to, right? They're not gonna just dish out new opportunities or higher level positions if the person doesn't actually work for it. So that's very important. And stay active with networking. The best way to learn about new positions or senior level positions is to speak to those people that are in those positions and learn from them. Once you get an idea of what their day-to-day is like, then you can take that back with you. And if that goes to be eventually a CISO or a help desk manager, right, take the steps needed in order to get to that position. It's being about proactive, is not sleeping in, waking up every day, telling yourself, okay, what can I do now to get better tomorrow, and show that to my manager.
That's fantastic, Juan. Thank you. Bill, would love to hear your additional insights into how whether it's within your own company or just what you've witnessed otherwise in the field, how you pivot fields, how people might move to more senior level roles, maybe that are more cybersecurity focused or or managerial, people manager focused.
Sure. So a lot of people refer to our company as a career building position. It's a great opportunity to put a lot of amazing technology on your resume very quickly, because we do a lot of very small jobs and we go through them very fast. Within our company, we also have a lot of mobility in the process, because we're always looking as a rapidly expanding company growing at the rate that we are. We're looking at people who can become team leads and administrators, as I mentioned. And feedback is what we base all of this on. So we've pretty much gamified the job, where these are the ratings. This is what your ratings currently are. This is how you can get them. The biggest thing that might not be obvious to everyone is that our clients are the project managers who need to have their jobs done. They might not have the term project manager. It might be an operations coordinator or someone like this, but their name is on the work order, and so is their phone number, which means you're in direct contact with every job that we do with somebody who's putting out at minimum $1 million a year worth of work. So ask this person. This person is somebody that has a lot of experience in the field. They manage these jobs every single day. They are without a doubt an expert. And when the technicians finish a job with us, I always say it's a good opportunity to just make sure that say, is everything completed? Is this good? Is this how you like it? Because that feedback that they give you is going to automatically cause them to rate you highly, consider you for future work. And this will cause your resume to balloon to a point that you can command any position that you'd like.
Really, really good insights, Bill, and from everyone. And what I'm kind of hearing, and I think from what I understand as a professional too, is that you really have to make yourself invaluable. If you want to grow in your career, you got to make yourself invaluable, whether that's by being proactive, being flexible, being curious. If you make yourself invaluable, people want to give you more opportunities to grow. So we talked a little bit about then, like, generally how you would do it. I want to drill down just a little bit more and ask you all about how you stay current, or how you would suggest that students or candidates stay current with your understanding of technology, threats, what online resources do you use to help you work, or do you advise your employees to use? Do you go to conferences? Do you subscribe to certain newsletters or podcasts? So Juan, let's start with you here.
Of course, I love this question. These events are very, very important. These events are going to help you understand what the market is like, what companies are doing, local companies are doing to really attract the best talent, right? One of the, Google is your best friend. It's what I tell everyone. The best way to learn is, looking up what's new in the market right now. What are companies using? A good way to, if you have a company, if you want to work for Google, Google, right? And learn about what they're doing. What technologies are they working with? Read some of the news. What are they investing in? Are they investing in cloud? Are they investing in RPA, right? Automation. That's a good way for you to stay up to date with some of those companies. Now, these events and meetups are also very important. Now, I know COVID-19 has made it a little bit difficult for us to meet in person. But a lot of these meetups have now become virtual, making it a lot easier for you to, go to these events, not have to pay really anything, and really learn from industry leaders. And then lastly, what I would say is I'm a network guy. LinkedIn is, I live, breathe by LinkedIn. And I learned so much about what a company's doing from my, from my network, but also from the candidates I've been able to place at certain companies. They tell me what they're doing, and it helps me understand better and prepare, those specific candidates. So I would tell everyone here, use your network. Google's your best friend. Go to meetups. Don't be afraid to talk to people and really learn.
I really like that networking and kind of social aspect of staying current in the field, Juan. Thank you. Sammy, would love to hear your insights on what you do or what you suggest your employees do to keep up with technology threats, and what resources.
Honestly, I'm too busy to keep reading up. I hear it every day, but with our junior techs, they're pretty good at following everything. We deal with a lot of MSPs, and honestly, MSPs see a lot of issues on a daily basis. So it helps keep our techs up to date on the latest threats and what they may see out there. We also do a lot of trade shows, which have been virtual up until now, but they are going back in person now. So at those trade shows, we will meet many different vendors. So it's nice to actually mix with those and to see what they're seeing. And then they also share, we share a lot of information at those trade shows of what products people are using and what, what's in the security stack. There's just multiple different places. And Google, Google is your best friend. If you want to learn anything, Google it. There's so much information out there.
Yeah, I really like that one too. That's a common suggestion I have. If you have a question, literally just type it into Google about cybersecurity, or even, what are some top resources to follow, or top blogs to follow if you have a certain kind of medium that somebody likes.
And if you have an interest as well, go to people's websites, go to vendors' websites, see what blogs they're posting, and then search their name in the news and see what topics are there. And then, if you want to dive deeper, search, the information on those topics if you want to learn more.
Yeah, exactly.
I would also add that if, LinkedIn, you can follow companies on LinkedIn. And that's a really good way for you to really stay current with those companies and what they're doing. And, some of those posts have job opportunities, and you can really learn about what a company's trying to do with those new job opportunities that are open.
Right. Thanks, Juan, for adding that. And I think something that that stuck out to me that both of you kind of mentioned is right, getting a little, doing your best to get a little bit of everything, and then where you find a path that really, or a piece of information or a technical tool or a company that really interests you, then you can dive deeper there. But I like that balance that y'all mentioned. Bill, would love to hear your additions into this conversation.
So our job path itself almost is this path. Every single job that we're sending somebody on is going to have different security protocols, different parameters. They're going to already be introduced to what the company already does, and then we're going to resolve an issue. With us, we internally support our people directly, and we have a lot of cybersecurity capability. We've managed a lot of very large companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, and we've put their security protocols in place. And nobody under the protection of Cook Technology has ever had a cybersecurity threat penetrate their network. We offer bounties and things like this, and no one's ever even been able to collect them. So every single day when technicians have a work order with us, the main thing that I would say, if there's any security threat, is that comes directly to me, and you'll get the benefit of 21 years of cybersecurity experience.
That's great. Thanks, Bill. Just show up to the job.
That's right.
And you can keep up with the current trends and threats. Okay, so I want to now ask y'all a pretty straightforward question, but I think it's helpful, and I know I hear it a lot from students, about what are 3 to 5 certifications that you would recommend candidates take or have to better prepare for the workforce? I've heard Network Plus from y'all. I've heard A Plus. Would love to hear any more in particular that you're looking for and that would be good for junior or maybe more advanced candidates to look for or to start working toward. Juan, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, of course. I will start off by saying certifications will never hurt you. They will always aid you. However, not having practical experience with that specific certification is just another keyword on your resume, right? If you're just going out there and just getting every single certification that's known to man, right, but not actually working on it and showing that you have hands-on experience with that tool or that specific skill set, it's not going to take you anywhere. So I just wanted to preface that because that's very important. Some people think that just by having a ton of certification, that makes you much more stronger than someone that doesn't, but has that experience. That's not really the case. From what I'm seeing, the CompTIA Plus, Security Plus is one of the first ones that just about all my clients ask for. Another one is a CISSP and the CISA. Now, if you're looking for a very specific position, maybe like if you want to be a certified ethical hacker, right? Just look into those ethical hacker certifications, right? Don't just follow the next shiny thing. You want to make sure that the certifications that you're getting are matching the career goals and path that you want to go. But CompTIA, CISSP, CISA, and the CHE with certified ethical hackers.
Those are a great one. Thank you. And I like the differentiation that you clarified too. You have to be able to talk about how your applied knowledge of some of these certifications. Sammy and Bill, do you have any additions to that list?
I don't, and we don't always look for certifications either. We look for more hands-on knowledge, like Juan said. It's important to actually understand what you're talking about. It's okay to get that piece of paper. It looks pretty in a frame, but you also need to know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
I agree. Much like Sammy said, it's really important to actually have an experience with the technology, especially when it comes to security, because if you haven't directly experienced something, you just won't have the same grasp for it. What we actually do in the case of certifications that we need our technicians to have is we're sometimes able to grandfather them in based on their work that they already have. Many companies will take our tech's experience and apply it towards something that they have. And we also have online resources, much like Sammy mentioned as well, where technicians are able, through our partnered clients, through other portals that we use as well, to be able to get certifications that they want. However, I advise technicians which jobs can come from that, how much work will be available once they get it, because many independent companies will have certifications that might not lead to work. And so we put a direct connection between number of jobs that we have, what this company's put out over the last year, and therefore the volume that they can expect to see once they have a certain certification. One that was very unexpected for us was an LG TV repair certification. We didn't imagine in an enterprise level environment that would be beneficial, but it was extremely helpful for technicians who needed backfill during coronavirus. So when coronavirus came, a lot of offices shut down, a lot of things moved out to people's homes. There were a lot of displays being set up, and most of those were managed by LG and LG's partners. So we were able to rapidly send out a lot of tests. We were able to shorten the process. They could certify that within about 30 minutes, and then they would get a test kit from LG, and then we could install and mount specialty displays and devices.
Thanks, Bill. Those are all fantastic insights. Thanks to all of you. We are going to shift a little bit into the Q&A portion of our webinar today. So Mariana,
Yes.
I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you. That was great. Fantastic. So I'm going to start off with the certification one, since we were just talking about the certification. This one says, what about Linux essential certifications? And Sammy or Bill?
We don't work with Linux at all at the moment. It is on our pipeline, maybe in the future, along with Apple, but currently it's just Microsoft platforms.
Fantastic.
I only use Unix and Linux pretty much exclusively because for us in the security protocol, that's really all there is. Anything for us that's on a Windows or Mac is really just a user system, and we only work with enterprise level companies. So pretty much everything we're doing is in Unix and Linux. So we have, I usually recommend that technicians will USB mount an app like, or an operating system like Ubuntu if they don't have familiarity already. And they're going to learn this process as engineers will actually just take over their computer. And they'll start to see this process, how we program a Cisco router, for example, and how these commands will start to work. Technicians that therefore have a desire to move through this process can continue from there on their own with some independent study materials. And with these jobs are much more highly paid, and they're in demand. When we need somebody to program a router, you can't do it with anything other than Linux or Unix.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bill. Okay, on to the next one since we're running short on time here. Is asking too many questions on the job make you look unprofessional within the company, even if the questions are simple? Sammy, I think you were typing a question here, but I just want to let you have this one. Since
I think if you can Google it, always Google it before going to management because you don't want to look stupid. So if it's something that Google can answer and you want more information on it, then ask management. But if Google can give you the answer, then that's your best resource.
Wonderful. And now that I have you, and then Bill, did you want to add something? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, in our case, it's very simple. We prefer that they ask us directly. We cannot afford to make a mistake when, the example I gave earlier where I'm decommissioning a server, you can imagine how that could go badly. If you decommission a server incorrectly, I would have shut down the public's credit union. So that would be a major issue. So we don't want them to do anything if they are unsure without asking us. We will direct them hand by hand if necessary.
Yeah, well, our junior techs would not be dealing with servers. They deal with a portal. So it's not, they've got limited access. So it's a bit different than dealing with hands-on and hardware.
For sure. Perfect. Do you offer any mentorship shadowing program with senior people?
When I do interviews, we do the first interview and then we offer a 3-hour shadow interview via Zoom for the junior techs. And that is when they get to mix with the team and speak with them. And then that is when the help desk manager come back and tells me if they're a good fit. And to be a good fit, you have to be willing to dive in, ask questions. We send you training videos so you're not completely coming in blindsided about our product. So we ask you to watch the latest training videos on ThreatLocker so you understand what the product is, you understand the portal, you understand some of the terminology. And that way you're not wasting our time and you're not wasting the help desk manager's time as well. So ask questions, but come in a bit knowledgeable on the product. And there's nothing worse than interviewing somebody when you ask them where did they hear about ThreatLocker and they say, oh, I just looked you up. I didn't even check out your website. That's a big, big red flag.
I would 100% agree with Sammy here. This is what I've seen is candidates lose opportunities and chances to really get a job because they didn't do their research. That is very important because that's going to show how the level of interest that you have in that company. But it's also going to show that level of interest that you have in that position. I've seen so many candidates lose out on great opportunities because they didn't take the time to really research the firm, the tools that they were using, and learn more about the company itself.
Agree 100%. Sammy and Juan, thank you. On to the next one. So what is the retention rate on experience on newcomers to the career? Bill, do you want to take this one?
For us, it's quite difficult to fully, I'd say that the answer is somewhat across the board because a lot of people who come to work for us, they might come in order to improve their resume. And so they'll come and go as contractors with us. And then other people will continue to progress through the process. But I'd say our retention rate has become extremely low also only since coronavirus. So it's very difficult to use current numbers for us to, I'd say, qualify our people who stick with the program or continue to be offered jobs. But in our case, if a technician is showing up, if they're reviewing their work orders beforehand, asking questions of us when they need to have additional resources or additional capabilities, then they will, then there's 100% retention. But in our market, it's very easy for technicians to come and go. They can block off unlimited amounts of time. They're often in control of their own schedules entirely. They might take 6 months off and handle things with a family member or something and then come back. So with us, it's just very important that they're communicative, that if they're going to be leaving, that they control their calendar. It's important that they're responsible with it. And then there really is, I would say, 100% retention of people who do this. From the technicians that aren't capable of doing this, it's difficult because we don't know any more of the reasons why they're leaving, because there's other things being supplemented. One prime example is that when the federal government increased the unemployment by $400 a week on top of whatever the other rate was, I understand that when a lot of technicians say, well, you know, I've never had an opportunity to start my own enterprise, and now I can just jump off and do it now while I'm on unemployment. I don't recommend that. I think it's actually good to continue to work together with a team, because you're going to know the type of people and have a continuous growth of resources instead of just jumping out on your own. But it's something that I can understand why people would want to do. And it's dropped our retention rate from more like 90 to 95% down to like 12%. So it's gotten extremely low, but I understand the reasons, and I don't think that they're really inherent to the job itself. It's just there's a pandemic and there's a response to the pandemic, and it's causing a lot of people to make different decisions. And our job is not most technicians who work for us aren't W-2s. They can be, it doesn't matter to us. They can be a W-2 or W-9, but most technicians who want to work for us would rather work as contractors because they've got a lot more freedom, and then they don't have taxes held up.
Of course. Fantastic. Fabulous. Thank you. So we're at the home stretch here. We have 2 more minutes. So I'll take the last one and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So this one says, would there be positions open for new hires related to technical writing, i.e. documentation, content, run books? Sammy, do you want to go ahead and take this one?
Yes, and we always ask for samples of your writing, because we do obviously a lot of logs, white papers and everything. So technical writing is a must, but we do ask for samples. And on the sample, you have to show that you've researched exactly what you're talking about. We've had people come in and copy and paste our website onto a white paper. That's not going to cut it. I mean, you have to dive in and, you know, learn products, learn the environment, learn what you're writing about, because you can't just say, hey, I'll copy your website and, you know, add a few logos and make it look pretty. You have to understand what you're writing about.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, we are at the top of the hour here, and I just want to make sure that we respect everybody's time. And I want to say thank you to Bill, to Sammy, and to Juan and Emma for keeping us on track with the agenda. Emma, Bill, Sammy, Juan, thank you so much for all the insights you provided today. They were amazing. And thank you for your time and for being here today. We really appreciate it. And to the students, you will be getting the recording in just the next day or so. And we really encourage you to fill out the survey if you have some time. So thank you again, everyone. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on the next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
As well.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.